Hey there, and welcome to the Death to Vanilla podcast. I'm Stephen Burkhart, the host of the show and the founder of Burkhart Creative Agency. If you're looking for fresh ideas and tactical advice on how to take your marketing to the next level, you have come to the right place. We interview industry professionals who teach us how to courageously create, boldly innovate, and experiment, and they teach you to do the same. Now, we are super grateful that you're here and watching, but if you're looking to get off your phone and have a little less screen time, we have an audio-only version of the show, and we have links to that show in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into the show.
Cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but you know when you see imposters, we know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you walk and your talk is constant.
Well, hey everybody, I'm talking a little loud because we're out here in downtown Phoenix, right against Central, at a place called The Grand, and they have been so good to host the Death to Vanilla podcast. We had a beautiful spot in the very back, super great greenery, and all kinds of just lovely seating to be able to have a good meetup and hangout. So if you haven't been here yet, check it out. So just once again, a big shout out to The Grand and thank them so much for hosting the Death to Vanilla podcast. Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Death to Vanilla podcast. I got Dominic here, and he is a realtor who has caught my eye for a while now, just really doing a great job showing up on social media. And granted, I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of realtors on social media, but I feel like you just do an exceptional job. And so we're here to hear a little bit about what he does to stand out and make himself known as a realtor. So yeah, I mean, I introduced you a little bit, but go ahead and toot your own horn for a little bit. I'd love to hear your side.
All right, guys. I'm Dominique Ramirez. I'm with AZ & Associates Real Estate Group. I've been in real estate for about 4 years. I was an assistant for a mortgage loan officer, and then I ended up jumping into real estate primarily because I wanted a market for myself, and I wanted to build myself and build my brand. So yeah, that's it. I'll tell you my story a little bit later, but it's a crazy story how I got into real estate. So yeah,
that's cool, man. So we've kind of just started getting in, as both a podcast and as a business with branding. So I'd love to hear kind of what you saw when you saw other realtors that you respected, their branding. How did they end up standing out, and what kind of things did you see and really bring on board when you started doing it for yourself?
Well, when I jumped into real estate, my mind was everywhere. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, should I be the suit and tie guy? Very respectful, I was kind of going that way. And I grew up watching the Goodfellas and all the mob movies. So I always had that certain type of style.
Oh, so you brought a gun to your listings?
Yeah, always, man, always. Forget about it.
No, you really want this house.
But it took a while for me to understand my identity. You don't know, when you start off in real estate, you don't know what you're going to do, And I grew up in the 90s and 2000s, and I grew up hearing Wu-Tang, Nas, Cypress Hill, all the good hip hop, Biggie, and that was more my style. And I grew up around the Hispanic culture. So I grew up watching Blood In, Blood Out, American Me, and speaking Spanish. And I just kind of wanted to be more authentic. I didn't want to be, because people when you're not authentic, people could feel your energy. And they're like, dude, I don't want to work with this guy. He's being fake. So it took about a year for me to discover who I really wanted to be. And now which I should have done in the beginning, but now I'm more authentic. And I'm having more fun with it, being more authentic, So that's kind of where I stand out. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because now the brand more and more starts to reflect you and your personality, as opposed to just a guy selling houses.
And there's a couple people that I follow on Instagram and on Facebook, of course, on social media, and the people that are successful, they're themselves. They're not trying to be somebody that they're not. And I study these guys. I analyze them. I do a proper appraisal of them, and I say, hey, what are you doing? It took a while. It took me about a year to be like, what the hell are you doing, bro? That's not you. And I wasn't happy when I was doing it. I was depressed because I was like, this isn't me.
Well, because instead of going out and just doing you're doing something else.
You're
acting.
And you're judging yourself at everything that you do. Now I go out and I have fun and I don't judge myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I sounded stupid. And I'm like, but you know what? Who cares? Because people want to see that side of you, you know?
Yeah.
So I have to give a big shout out to my brokerage, AZ and Associates, because they're the ones that pushed me to go on camera, speak on camera. They challenged me, hey, you need to do a live video every week, you know, and it's actually helped me out a lot because I'm very comfortable speaking on camera, you know? So, yeah, big shout out to AZ and Associates. So.
If you're nervous, you're certainly not showing it, so that's awesome.
I'm actually wired from all the caffeine that I had, but that's about it.
So, okay, cool. So do you want to give out, like, not necessarily shout out, but who were the people that really inspired you, that you looked up to when you were developing yourself? If you don't mind sharing, if you don't, that's totally okay.
I don't want to give him a shout out because he's an Arizona real estate agent, but
That's totally fair. That's totally fine.
There's a guy with all these tattoos. You know who you are. I like his style. You know, he has like that LA, he wears baseball hats. He dresses authentic. You know, he could be in a suit and tie, but he could also be himself. Yeah. You know, and in the beginning when he started, he got judged a lot because he had a lot of tattoos. Yeah. And he ended up saying, like, I was about to cuss, but he ended up saying, like, F this, and he ended up, you know, being himself, and now he's freaking tearing it up. Yeah. You know, and he's been in the game for about a year. So I like when I was like redeveloping myself, I looked at him a lot, and it was an inspiration. It was like, you know what? I am a Mexican. I am, you know, I grew up where I grew up. Yeah. You know, this is a person that I need to be, you know, and it's helped me out a lot. You know, people feel comfortable with me. People are like, I bartended for like 10 years.
That does help,
so,
I'm sure.
It helped me out a lot. And when I was bartending, I was having so much fun. Yeah. The first year in real estate, I wasn't having fun. But now this second year, I've been crushing it because I'm in that bartending mode, you know? Yeah. And people feel comfortable with me. But
well, isn't it wild, the head trip that you go to when you start to represent yourself? There's all these like insecurities and like uncertainties that creep in, because I'm sure on some level too, like you weren't too worried about that, because at the end of the day, when you were bartending, you weren't representing yourself. You were being yourself, but you were representing a company. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like, it's kind of on them. But then now, for the first time, you're shaping everything to be you, and then you're like, well, I don't know if I want to be looked at this way or that way. Yeah. But I think the cool thing is, and I think the thing that people have to realize, you know, especially when it comes to like marketing and advertising, is that like when you dress or be the way that you are, that is going to repel some people, right? There's a reason pop music is pop music. It's because it's popular, but there's plenty of other music that gets listened to all the time by people and is hugely popular in its niche. And so there's this idea that like if you don't get on there and do your live streams and do your videos, the appeal that you could have had with a certain group, you know, a niche of people, if you will, you don't even have access to them because they can't even find you. Yeah, exactly. And so, yes, you can wear tattoos, but you also got to find enough people that are okay with that. Exactly. Because is it mass appeal? No. But that doesn't mean you can't make it. Yeah. It doesn't mean you're not going to be busy. And
also what I learned in being in the business is that, do I want to work with those people that judge me? Do I want to, you know, reach out to that audience? Because at the end of the day, I want people that are going to work with me and feel comfortable for me. Yeah. You know? And when I wasn't authentic, people felt that. People felt my energy. And I was losing deals. I was running people away because I had that, it was a scared mentality, you know, a scarcity mindset. And I was chasing the commission, and now I'm not chasing the commission. You know, I'm more like, you know, I'm more of an authority. I'm here to guide them through the process. Right. I'm here, you know, to show them, explain everything, all the documents, you know, and also I'm like, hey, you know, go to my Facebook, go to my Instagram, so you could learn more about me. Right. You know, I want to get more personal. So it's been a journey, and it's been kind of a weird journey, but I'm very happy where I'm at right now. Yeah. And I also want to explain this. after that year that I didn't know what I wanted to do, I actually took time off to learn how to video edit.
Nice.
I took time off to teach myself. I was like, I saw everybody doing videos, and I was like, I understood in this year that learning how to video edit, learning the whole dynamic of it was very crucial.
Yeah.
And that has actually helped me out a lot. So, yeah. Video editing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. So you brought up a good topic on content. So in my understanding from what you just said, a lot of your content is educational and helpful. So why did you end up deciding to go down that route? Is like what percentage of your content would you say is like educational?
Not too much.
Okay.
I'm actually going to step up my game because being in this market in 2021 and working with a lot of buyers, I feel bad for them because they don't know what to expect, especially in this market, when there's people doing like crazy things. So in the past, like, I was talking about an inspection, I was talking about an appraisal, but like I said, I took before we even got on the podcast, I did another proper appraisal of myself, and I said, okay, what do I need to do? And now I'm going to go more towards the educational route, but I want to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
I want to go more in debt with what's going on in this market. I want to go more in debt with what to expect, So I'm going down that route, but real estate and buying a house should be fun.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be always stressful. And that's what I'm learning in today's market, is that everybody's stressed.
Well, and dude, and you're so right, because I'm thinking through like all major life decisions that you have to do. Like part of the stress is just not knowing if you're even making a good decision to begin with. It's like the first time you go buy a car, unless you're like a car person or your parents taught you about cars, it's like you walk in a car lot and it's like, well, which one do I pick and why? Oh, this one's really fast. Oh, cool. Like, I guess that's a priority. Same thing with a house. It's like, how are people supposed to know and feel confident about going and buying a house if they don't have a clue about the process? It's super stressful.
Yeah, and in the beginning, like I was just being myself. Well, not like the year that I told you I wanted to be more authentic. Like, I learned that I was having fun with it. I was being dumb. I was being silly. And people like that. People love my personality. They love my attitude. But then I had to take a step back, and I was like, dude, I really need to explain into detail what's going on, because I'm just telling you, like, 2021, the real estate market has been like crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's like, just people, like when we didn't have toilet paper, people, it's the same thing with houses. Like, we don't have houses, and people are just doing these crazy things. And I really want to help people understand what to expect in this market. So this year, or starting soon, it's going to be more educational. That's my goal, is to show people. Yeah. So I'm a little stupid sometimes when it's on Instagram and TikTok. And
stupid as in like silly? Or okay.
Yeah, silly. Like, I like to be a little silly and having fun with everything. But
so what kind of things? So I know this is a really broad question, but like, what things do you do to stand out? Like, what are like your kind of like your value system and what you're thinking about when you're making content that's like, oh, like this is going to be the thing that makes me stand just a little bit taller than the rest of the real estate agents out there?
So like in the beginning, I told you that like I was really into like hip hop, Wu-Tang and all of that. So I do a Dom's pick of the week, or I do a couple of them, but every Wednesday I do like a Wu-Tang pick Wednesday, and I'll showcase the house, but I'll have some good hip hop, some good Wu-Tang in the background, and I've never seen anybody do that.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do that. When I walk through a house, I'll play some mariachi music in the background, and I'll edit it to showcase the house, Like I said, I'm Chicano, I'm Mexican American.
Okay.
So I like to do a lot of things that lean towards that side.
Okay.
I mean, I'm for everybody, but that's what I grew up around. So
Sure.
I've learned that people like that. They're like, hey, nobody's doing this. Like, nobody's acting the way you're acting. Nobody's advertising the way you're advertising. And I think that's what makes me stand out, is that people they love the business aspect of it, but people grow around hearing hip hop. People grow around watching Goodfellas. People grow around all that stuff. So when they see it in real estate, they're like, it catches their attention.
Right.
You know, it's like the other day I did a marketing thing and I threw Goodfellas in there.
Okay.
And they were like, I got so many views. I think I got like 500 views.
Yeah.
But it was Goodfellas and people could relate to Goodfellas. Yeah. But then I threw real estate in there as well.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I try to brainstorm every Sunday and try to think about different things to do. But I think honestly, that's what's helping me out. And that's what's making me stand out.
Right. No, that's good. You know, it's funny when we, you know, earlier when you're talking about mindset and how crazy it is to transition from representing someone else to representing yourself. It's funny when you like ask some people like, oh, like, well, what's different about you? And like sometimes they don't even know. Yeah. Like they don't even know what's special about themselves, and it's like, well, you're gonna have a really hard time having, you know, basically essentially a personal brand if you don't even know what makes you unique. And so, but it is a journey. It's a discovery process where you're like, okay, like this about me, like this is actually kind of different and interesting, and maybe it's not like the wildest thing people have ever seen, the fact that you're Hispanic, but I mean the fact is that is like a minority aspect of real estate agents, and that does set you apart, and it should be embraced, but you only get to leverage it if you embrace it, which is exactly what the journey you've been on with that.
And I embrace it, man. Like I'll throw in some quinceañera music every now and then on my videos, you know, and I just try to make everything different. I remember when I got into real estate, like I was going through a lot of realtors' profiles, and they were all the same, you know, a house, you know, this house is up for, it just listed, pictures of the house, you know, offer accepted, offer, you know, and I was like, I still want to do that, but I want to do it differently, you know, and every real estate agent's page looked the same. It was like they just copied and pasted it. Yeah. You know, and and I don't want to bring this person up, you know, it was one of my old partners. Okay. I remember when I was sitting there and I was venting to him and I was telling him my idea, what I wanted to do. Yeah. And this was before I had my real estate license. I was actually taking my real estate test. And I remember, and I was telling this person, I was like, I can't wait to shoot video. I can't wait to learn how to edit video. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to add my personal my personal branding in my videos. Yeah. And this person literally said, hey, you need to pass your real estate test first. And, you know, they brought me down here, and I understand, you know, tough love is good. You know, tough love is good. But that never left my head. Yeah. You know, it would always like learning how to edit, you know, working on your brand, incorporating yourself into your brand, trying to stand out. Like it never left my vision. Yeah. You know, and I'm very happy that I after all these years, it's a process, even though it's baby steps. Yeah. I'm doing it, you know, and I'm trying my hardest to put in the reps every day and make it happen, you know, so.
Well, and I think what you're doing is so good, you know, I think that it would be so easy for a realtor or really any business right now that's thriving because of, like, you know, construction obviously has got to be thriving with the lack of new homes, and they're building them like crazy. To kind of not phone it in right now, but, you know, if you're looking at doing, you know, being a realtor for like the next 12 years, this high is going to end eventually, in which case, like having a marketing plan, a solid brand, a great, you know, process in which to take people is going to start becoming really important. You know what I mean? And so I think some people that, you know, I understand that maybe they don't want to pursue marketing too much right now because of how easy it is to get leads, but at the same time, it's only going to be this good for so long.
And if anything, COVID taught us a big thing. Like, I've seen so many real estate agents quit. Yeah. Like, they literally just, this is our business, you know, this is something that, you know, you need to go all in. Yeah. And when COVID happened, people just quit. Crickets happened. It was like, how, you know, people that were busy making a lot of money, that were just working on referrals, you know, and were getting that money, they were so used to it. But they didn't know how to market. They didn't know how to brand. And now I've seen so many, like the people that are marketing, the people that are out there hustling and putting in the reps, they're the ones that are being successful. And the ones that were leaning more on referral based, they're nowhere to be found. And it's like, it's very important. You got to get the marketing down. You know, I still don't got it down. I'm still working on it every day, but I understand that it's the most important thing in your business is to market. You know, you got to stay in front of people, even if people don't like you.
Yeah.
You know, you got to stay in front of people. Like,
well, what is it? Do you ever follow Grant Cardone?
Oh yeah, always. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So he is like one of those things of like, if nobody hates you, you ain't doing something.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly. And you know, there's some times where I'll make a video and I'll freaking spend like a day making the whole video, and my eyes are bulging out because I'm staring at the computer so much, and I'm like, man, I feel drunk and this and that. And I throw the video on social media and it doesn't have a lot of views, it doesn't have a lot of likes, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't care, because, you know, I showed up,
Yeah.
you know, I showed up, and it's rough, but you can't let your emotions get involved when you don't get a lot of likes or a lot of views, or, you know, because at the end of the day, it's your business and you got to keep marketing. You cannot quit. You can't take your foot off the pedal.
Well, and it's been funny, even just with some of the video content that we've made to educate and help and inspire, is sometimes we'll post a video on YouTube and we'll post it on social media and nothing happens, and then like one day we like wake up and it's like our video has 1,000 views. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
What happened? Where did this come from? And it's like, you know, I think it can be really discouraging, I think, when, you know, something like an Instagram post doesn't take off, because it has such a short lifespan. Yeah. But I think, you know, that's when you transition to having other places like YouTube and whatever else, where the content can live on for a while, and the effort that you put in matters and helps.
And I'm telling you, I studied this. Like, I studied the algorithms.
Yeah.
I studied posting at different times. I studied like commenting on people's photos.
Right.
I've done a bunch of stuff, tagging, hashtags, this and that, and you know, it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it does. But
right?
But you're like,
I'm doing all the right things.
Yeah,
why didn't this reach more people?
But it's crazy when you do wake up. Like, you'll wake up the next day and you have like 500 views, and you're like, what? Like,
yeah.
And during, you know, and the day before you only had like 20 views. So, I mean, my advice to people is just keep freaking marketing, keep pushing, don't give up, because, you know, you can't. You know, you can't. Especially if you're a business owner, you can't give up.
What has been the platform that's gotten you like the most return on your investment?
Oh man.
I'm assuming that you're taking them all as seriously. So maybe a better question would be, what platform are you spending the most time on right now? Is it Instagram?
Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
So I'm learning TikTok.
Okay.
I've been like, same thing, studying TikTok, taking my notes, writing everything down. I would say Instagram and Facebook. It depends. They go head to head. It's funny because some days I'll have a lot of interaction on Facebook. Some days I have a lot of interaction on Instagram, and it's like, what am I doing wrong? And then you go back to the drawing board, and you're like, okay, I posted at freaking 1 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody was at work, you know, or I used a video, music from somebody, so they took it off Instagram, you know, but it's on like when you use like a song or something and you're not supposed to, they'll take it off and you don't get no views, but you're like, but it's usually head to head. It's usually head to head.
So on Facebook, just kind of like more tactically, are we talking about just like posting on a page, or are you like in Facebook groups that you're kind of building a little bit of a community with, or how are you leveraging that?
Well, first off, I don't have a business page.
Okay.
I got rid of it because dealing with too many platforms, you know, you forget about things. Like, so I said, okay, I'm going to have my personal page, but it's going to be my business page as well. Okay. I'm still going to show my personality, but I'm going to showcase my business.
Okay.
It's been on Instagram. It's the same thing. I'm still personal, but it's my business page. I don't have a business page on Instagram, which I should.
Interesting. Okay.
I should. But I learned when I had the business page, I wasn't getting any interaction. And when I took it off and I made it personal, I've been getting a lot more interaction. So What was the question again? I lost my train
Oh,
of
I
thought.
was asking which one. No, you're good. I was asking which ones that you like really were investing the most time in, but I was also asking just like in Facebook specifically, how you were leveraging it. If it was just posting like you would on Instagram, or if you were actually leveraging, like I know a lot of realtors are building like communities and Facebook groups
you know,
and stuff like that,
yeah.
as far as like a networking means.
Yeah, and you know what? I haven't started a group yet. I should.
I don't know if you were even just a part of one, if you had joined one.
I'm a part of a bunch of them.
Okay, cool, yeah.
I'm a part of a bunch of them, but I've been wanting to start one. And I was going to call it Started from the Bottom, Now We're Here.
I say that all the time.
For every entrepreneur, you know, because
Oh, man.
we all started, you know, in grinding, you know, and even if you're not here, you're going to be there eventually. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to start a Facebook group.
Yeah.
Or a podcast calling Started from the Bottom.
Yeah.
But a lot of the marketing, it takes a lot of time to learn.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm studying video editing, I'm studying algorithms. So you always forget about it. Like you're so involved with other things that you forget about the Facebook group or, you know, the podcast. So it's just...
It's like you're always chasing something down.
It never stops.
Yeah.
It never stops, you know, and it's like... And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm disappointed in myself. I should have a Facebook group or a podcast.
Right.
But it'll happen.
Well, and you know, I get your frustration. I also tell people not to beat themselves up too much, but because it is really overwhelming. Like, you know, to do well on Instagram takes a certain amount of focus, dedication. Like you were talking about, like there is real algorithm changes when you begin to comment on other people's stuff because it's telling Instagram this is an active user, not just a poster.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, commenting, talking, tagging things, all those things are super important. Well, guess what? That's a whole lot more work than just posting.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And so at that point, it's like, okay, well now that I'm doing all those things, you know, and it's kind of like, it's like another Gary Vee thing. Sorry, I've listened to that guy forever. So, and one of his things was like he literally would just be on Twitter and just comment on everything that said wine.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you know, he couldn't have done that if he was doing, you know, Twitter and Instagram and Reddit and TikTok and
And showing properties
Yeah.
and writing contracts,
You know?
and it's crazy because
You can't do it all.
You can't. It's hard, and
Not well.
you know, and I should hire somebody. I have a control issue. I should hire somebody. It's because I have a certain style.
Sure.
And I was working with somebody in the past. I don't know what happened with him. I do need to reach out to him. But if anything, that what I learned is that I do need help. We all try to do this alone, and we need to ask for help. You know, there's sometimes where I'm like, I get home from showing 5 properties, writing 3 contracts or 3 offers, and then I got to edit a video, and I'm like, man, I'm beat. You know, I'm beat.
Well, and it's hard to prioritize because at the end of the day, like writing contracts is what makes you money.
Yeah.
But making the video also kind of makes you money too. But it doesn't always feel that way.
It doesn't. And when you're a real estate agent, like when somebody wants to write an offer, you know, it's one of those, especially in today's market, you got to, all right, drop what I'm doing, boom, write it. So if I learned anything is that you need to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I'm hard-headed. I don't like to ask for help.
Yeah.
So I've learned that I need to get somebody I could work with, hire somebody and that could help me.
Well, it's all about the vision, right? Like if you have a big vision, you're going to need help to get there.
Oh, exactly.
But I've also I've legitimately had 2 different interviews. One was a lady that was a lawyer, and another was a lady who was a website designer, and both of them were like, I have enough work to be happy, like they're doing quite well for themselves. I don't really want to hire an employee. This is where I cap out at, and I'm really happy with that. And for some people, they are like super happy with that. They don't want to manage people. They don't want to have employees. They don't want to deal with that. But that doesn't really sound like that's your goal. And so it is one of those things
because,
you gotta.
like I said, man, I do all the marketing and everything myself, so it's hard. It's not easy work.
Yeah.
It's not easy work, and you know, COVID and all this stuff has taught me a lot of things. Not only about myself, about my business, about the man that I want to become, about where I want to take my business. You know, like it's taught me so much, and I really appreciate that you reached out and you're like, hey, I love your marketing. I like what you're doing. Because those little things, when people notice it, it's like a little fire that keeps you going. It's like, you know what? Somebody noticed it.
Yeah.
You know, and it puts a big smile on your face because you're like, finally the work's paying off. Somebody noticed it, and you're like, hell yeah, you know. So it's like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's funny that you reached out to me the other day and you said, hey, let's do the podcast. I had a friend reach out to me and she was like, dude, you've came a long way. She's like, I remember you in the beginning till now. And she's like, it's very inspiring. And for her to just say that just put the biggest smile on my face too. I was like, man, like people do notice, you know.
Yeah, you started from the bottom. Now you're here.
It
just works.
Yeah,
it just works.
So yeah.
So, okay, so for someone, I mean, obviously, like, your home base is real estate, but for someone who is, like, really trying to jumpstart, what would be, like, 3 tips now that you're, you know, a couple years in? What would be, like, 3 tips that you would have someone work through as they're getting started doing this thing?
Entrepreneurship? Or
yeah, I would say,
general, business owner?
I heard a stat that most real estate agents never sell a home ever. So I would say let's keep it with real estate agents. Let's talk about, like, what are 3 things that you think they should think about when they're looking to kind of launch out and be a little bit more independent?
First one, don't give up. Keep marketing. Market. Like, I cannot say it enough. Do video. Even if you sound stupid in the beginning, you're gonna get better. I mean, like Steph Curry, like, he didn't become a 3-point shooter just, you know, overnight. It took a lot of reps. It took a lot of practice, and look at the way he is now. You know, and I see people that started video a year ago to now, and their progress is it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be my first one. Don't give up on marketing. Don't give up on video. Do it, even if you sound stupid, do it. You know, because at the end of the day, people, when you sound stupid, that's the things that people love.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I love that he messed up on that.
Human.
Yeah, it makes you human. Second one, study, educate yourself. Study, educate yourself. Like I said, I took time off to learn how to video edit, to learn how to speak into a camera, to learn algorithms. Study, write it down, so it's in your face every day. I have a whiteboard in my living room that I write everything down.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do a video that week, I'll write the topic of the video, and then Wednesday we're scripting it, and then we're shooting you know, just me speaking into the camera.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly educating myself. You know, when it comes, cool. you have to. It's mandatory.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way around it. And the third one, I would have to say, if you're independent and you're gonna go solo, is be patient. Yeah, be patient. Because, like how we were talking about earlier, yeah, you might have 20 views, you know, and it's gonna be discouraging when you post a video and you're like, man, I didn't get no views, no likes.
Yeah.
But you got to be patient because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, you gotta just keep doing it. You got to keep putting the reps in. And even though you're not getting a good return, eventually it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to pay off. So be patient, educate yourself, and don't give up on marketing, and don't give up on video.
So I have a question. So a lot of people don't like being on camera. What did you do outside of just going through the motions to feel more comfortable and presentable on camera?
Live videos. Mm-hmm. Live videos. I might do a live video right now when we're leaving, but because it's not scripted, you know, you're going out there and you're freestyling it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you know what? And when you do video in the beginning, so many thoughts that go through your head. Like,
right.
It's crazy. Like, you're like stuttering, and I remember I used to say guys a lot. Hey, guys, no, guys. I used to say that all the time. But that's how you learn, because you go back and you listen to your videos and you're like, hey, I was saying guys too much.
Yeah.
Maybe I should take that out. You know, so live video has helped me tremendously. And if it wasn't for AZ and Associates, I would have never done lives.
Yeah.
They were pushing me. You got to do live video. You got to do live video. So just go out there and do it, you know. You're going to be nervous in the beginning. But at the end of the day, when you put down that camera, you're just going to feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be like, I did it, you know. that wasn't so scary,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, so that's what I would say. Live video helped me.
That's cool. Now, we didn't do as much live video, I'd say, although that is nice because there's so many times, especially when you're starting, where you're like, thank God no one will ever see this again. Obviously, you could repost it, but there's some times when you're like very happy, like this was a one-time event, especially when you're first starting and you like totally flub it up. Not you personally, but like when people just start.
I flopped up a lot.
Yeah, and not that ever really stops, but you know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, wow, I'm glad that just is a 24-hour video. But I think the other thing that I know I realized when talking to camera is it helps you organize your thoughts better. Because you have all this pressure to present things, and so then you realize like, oh, my thoughts are kind of scattered, and it's actually been really good because I think it's actually made me better in like personal communication with people because of shooting video, because then I'm actually like thinking more clearly, because when you're shooting in video you have that pressure, so like, oh, I got to connect this thought to this thought to this thought, and for me that helped me organize that a lot better in my brain, which made me not only better at video, but better just at thinking through things and conversations. And so it was hugely beneficial, not just for video presentation, but just like my ability to process information like in life it was just.
And honestly, you become a better talker. Yeah. You know how to rebuttal a lot better. You know, like if somebody says something, you have an answer. Yeah. You know, you have questions. And when you're starting off in real estate, you're nervous. Like you don't know what question, you know, and this is something I had to learn a lot. Like, I always wanted to know the answer to something. Yeah. So when somebody would ask me a question, and I'm gonna say I'm guilty of this. Like, I would lie in the beginning, but then I caught myself, and then I had to reach back out to that client and be like, you know what, I didn't know the answer. I had to go back to my broker. You know, I apologize for telling you that, but I took accountability. Yeah. And I owned up to it, and I was like, you know what, I taught myself you shouldn't be doing that. So then I went, you know, before I wouldn't know an answer to something, or now that I don't know an answer to something, it's like, you know what, I don't know the answer, I'll get back to you. Yeah. And people respect that a lot more. You know? More trust. Yeah, because when you're a new agent, your mind is running like just crazy. Yeah. So when somebody asks you a question, you just blur it out without even thinking about it. Now it's like speaking into the camera, doing live video, it's helped me process things a lot better. And it's like, you know, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll get back to you. You know, and it's helped me out a lot. It's helped me take accountability. When I'm on camera and I say something that was wrong, I'll be, oh, did I say that? Damn, you know, but it's a learning process. Yeah. And that's the way you learn, you know, so, but yeah, freaking crazy.
That's cool.
I did, like I'm telling you, like I did an appraisal of my where I was at to now. Yeah. And it's been a journey. It's been a crazy journey, dude. It's been like this. Like, right? I'm like, man, I feel like a boxer. I'm bobbing and weaving. Yeah. I'm like, but it's fun. You know, it's fun. So.
Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd want to share?
No, just to all the new agents out there, I know you guys don't know where to start. I know you guys feel abandoned. Don't feel that way. You know, reach out to people that are going to help you, that are going to push you, that are going to make you become a better real estate agent. It's going to make you a better business person. And just be patient with the process, because at the end of the day, if this is what you know is your purpose, you're going to find any way to make it happen. And yeah, that's all I guess that's all I got to say.
That's cool, man. No, I think that's great stuff. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show. The Death to Vanilla podcast, where we talk about how to stand out, and I think you got that figured out. So.
If you guys are looking to buy or sell, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Even if you don't use me, I'm here to answer any of your questions. There's no obligation. You can look me up on Facebook, Dominique Ramirez, or you can look me up on Instagram, Dom AZ Realtor. Just hit me up with a DM or a message, and I'm more than willing, ready, and motivated to help you guys out in any way. So
cool, and we'll throw your contact information down in the comments as well, so that way you guys don't have to rewind it to here. So it'll be available and clickable in the comment section. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Good to have you, and thank you guys for watching.
It was a pleasure. Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Wanna cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but you know when you see imposters. We know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you walk and your talk is constant.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Death to Vanilla podcast. Now, if you made it this far, I'm guessing you probably heard something that was inspiring or helpful, and we would love to hear about it. So if you could drop that information in the comments or shoot me an email, steven@burkhartcreativeagency.com. That would go a long way to helping us choose guests and create content that really bring you value. Now, Instagram is my favorite social media platform, but I'm sure you have yours, and so we encourage you to find us on your favorite platform so that you have a chance to learn more about marketing that can help you out. Now, they say a rising tide rises all boats. So we ask that you would like, subscribe, and follow us so that way the traffic that we get to our channel helps all of the guests that have been on. Our traffic is their traffic, and that helps everybody out, and it's super easy to do. So if you could rate us, like us, add us, follow us, whatever you need to do to help us out, that would go a long way. So we appreciate you and hope to catch you on the next episode of the Death to Vanilla podcast.